Okay, and I'm gonna go over to my notes and go into the slide view. And let's go back to the beginning of this section and just review it real quick. Okay, so goals, obstacles, and rewards. So we started talking about this on Tuesday. I'm just gonna go through the last few slides and then finish it up. And obviously you guys have seen the assignment at this point. You know that this is very related to the assignment. So keep that in mind, just thinking about these terms. So again, I showed this image where it's very simple, but you can see all of those components sort of illustrated for the game Mario. You can see the main goal of this scene, the flag over here. That's the main goal, right? Is to get to the end of that level and then to get to the end of the next level, et cetera, et cetera. We see a couple of obstacles, okay? So there's this obstacle here where if you fall in that gap between the platforms, you're gonna die and lose a life. And we also see the mushroom guy here, another obstacle. So if we hit the mushroom guy, we're either gonna die or we're gonna lose our power up or whatever it is. And then we have a little reward over here, a Goomba, that's right, thank you. Over here, we have our little coin box. So we might get a coin, we might get a power up from that. That's a type of reward that helps us play the game. So most of our games are gonna have like an established goal. For example, in Mario, we have the flag at the end of the level. So it's very obvious. It's like this very obvious symbol of like achieving this goal. Some other games, like the one that I'm going to talk about when I'm kind of demoing the homework, have like less obvious goals. So like exploring something. I used exploring an abandoned island. I was thinking of Myst when I wrote that. Probably I should have included that in there. Have you guys played Myst, or do you know what Myst is? It's kind of an old game.
I heard of it.
I know it, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so some people have heard it, some people haven't. I don't know if you could actually play it anymore. There might be like an emulator out there, but it was like a really influential game for me and just in general back in the day. It's called Myst with a Y. You can definitely watch YouTube videos of it. Yeah, there's some YouTube videos. It's basically like a puzzle exploration game, but it's pretty early. It's from like, when did it come out?
Early 90s, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, 1993.
Yeah, I seen somebody playing that game.
Yeah. It was like, I remember, if you play it today, you're probably going to think like, oh, this is kind of boring because it's like very simple. But I remember, just being blown away by this game when I was like 10 or whatever I was when I played this for the first time. So that's kind of what I was thinking of there. That's a good game to check out if you've never seen it before. Okay. So games, when we're doing game design, we use obstacles and rewards to lead the player towards the goal. And so you guys know that from playing games. And we talked about this, like if there's a bad guy or if there's a gap or, something, an obstacle, that usually tells you that you're going in the right direction, right? There wouldn't be an obstacle in your way if you weren't going towards your goal. And that's basically what makes the game a game, right? Like obstacles and challenges kind of make the game hard to play and make it interesting or fun. Sometimes, and we'll see this in a little bit, the line between these distinctions can be a little bit blurry. Like something can be an obstacle and a reward, something can be a goal and a reward. A lot of the time, it's more clear, like if you reach a goal, then you receive a reward. But there's a little bit of blurring of those distinctions in different games. More complex games have a variety of obstacles and rewards, and they kind of fit together to create the game dynamics. Remember, a couple terms that we talked about on Tuesday are game mechanics, the rules, and game dynamics, or the sort of experience or progression of the game. And obstacles and rewards are specific kinds of rules or kinds of components of the game that add up to create a complex game world. So goals can be objectives for the player to progress through the game or to win the game. So sometimes a goal is just to win the game. Sometimes the goals are, spread out throughout the game at different points. Some games have one main goal and several side goals, and sometimes those side goals, help to serve towards the main goal. Sometimes they can be unrelated as well. So you guys have seen this in different games. We take a series of goals and they usually build up. In a game with good progression, the goals get harder to achieve to create a good progression through the game. Okay, so obstacles. Obstacles are challenges or physical obstacles or enemies or other things that are going to prevent you from reaching your goal. So that can be a lot of different types of things, and it's really dependent on genre. So, with a puzzle game, you're going to be playing puzzles. With an arcade game, you're going to be, jumping over stuff or shooting aliens or whatever. Yeah, that's what I just said. Some games obstacles are going to be a little bit more abstract, like looking for, clues or talking to specific characters or choosing different branches of the story. So it's not necessarily like you have to jump over this thing. It's more like you have to kind of like explore the game world till you understand what the sort of parameters or boundaries are. So let's talk about some rewards. Rewards take a lot of different forms. They could be currency, objects, visual rewards. And usually they kind of help the player play the game. So like if you get a lot of money from, searching or looting or mining or whatever, you can then use that money to get other objects that help you get better at the game. But sometimes visual rewards are just that. It's just like you get a cool hat or like a cool cloak or something like that. And that, is its own reward because you get to have this like cool avatar or whatever. Rewards usually tell us that we're doing a good job. So like if we're getting a lot of points or we're accumulating a lot of resources, that usually tells us we're doing the game well. If we're in a game where we're supposed to be collecting resources and we're not really getting a lot of resources, that is sort of a sign that we need to adjust our gameplay. Rewards can also sort of affect the gameplay. So if you achieve like a goal, one of the rewards you would get is like revealing some new part of the game, like a new level or a new hidden area or something like that. Yeah, Elijah? Elijah, did you have a question or was that a mistake? Maybe your mic is not working. We'll come back if you do have a question.
Hello?
Just hey,
Okay.
are you there?
Yeah, so sorry, I had to unmute my mic. But if there's like a door and it was locked, and the only way to get through that door is get like a specific weapon, does that count like as a reward, but like
Yeah,
aiming
so
for that new objective?
like the door is an obstacle, right? We can't get through the door. Okay, so then we have a new goal, which is to find a way through the door. And if we complete some sort of challenge to receive a key, then that's the reward. So it's all three of those things are kind of built into that scenario. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Cool, good question. Okay, that's it. I have some links here. I'll usually include some resources at the end of the notes to articles or things. These are not required readings, but if you take a look at these, they will definitely like add depth and more research to the stuff that we talk about in the lecture. So I'll just take a look at these real quick so you guys can see what they look like. But I'm not going to obviously read the whole thing. So the first link here is to a Game Sutra article. You guys have probably seen this website before. If you haven't, it's just like a blog about game design and making games. So it's a really good blog to start following if you've never seen it before. This is about positive feedback, which is one of the terms that I used in the lecture. And the thing I really like about this article is the visuals. And so it's talking about the progression of a game and how feedback changes the game. So different challenges and stuff like that. And so he gives a few examples. Here's like a game that's not very fun, where it's basically just like you are just like winning the game the whole time and nothing difficult ever happens. So there's no positive feedback. There's nothing that changes the way that you play the game. So that's not like, a fun game. Next, we have unfair. Okay, so in this case, you can see the A and the B are sort of like the two players. And in this case, A is winning the whole time. In some of the cases, B kind of like wins a little bit and it dips back towards B, but it never like actually goes over the B line. So A is just like winning the whole time. It's a couple challenges, but then they win the game. So too much positive feedback. All right, so there's too much back and forth. Now, in this chart, A is winning, then B is winning, then A is winning, then B is winning, and there's no real like push and pull. It's just kind of like static the whole time. Hakem.
Yeah, so like what happened if it's like an MMO or like a MOBA or something, right? Like the characters or the weapon could be like OP and like you can nerf it, but it's kind of is still like a bit broken.
Yeah. You're talking about like regarding positive feedback.
Yeah, like some people say, "Oh yeah, this character is balanced," but in reality, it's not.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's something that game designers, have to work on really hard to create that balance in the game. If a character is like too powerful or not powerful enough, then you're not really going to enjoy playing with the character for like a long period of time, which is the goal, especially of an MMO. The expectation is that you would play with that character for like, a year or more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Good question. So stalemate, it kind of goes back and forth, but no player really breaks out. Here's a balance game, but it's too short. Okay, so B starts winning, A starts winning, B wins a little bit more, but then A just like kind of takes off. And then finally, we have the ideal game progression where there's a bit of back and forth, but you can see the sort of like dips in losing versus winning get more dramatic until eventually A kind of like takes over and wins the game. So that's kind of our ideal game progression. So anyway, this is a really good article. I recommend you guys to kind of read that and get a little bit more background on that.
Oh wait, I can tell you a game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
I was gonna tell you that there's a game that is short, but it's also good. It's called Karen, and you play like as a tentacle monster that just like killing scientists and stuff.
What is it called?
It's a very Karen.
Carry on.
Like
It's
Karen?
CA.
Yeah,
No,
oh, yeah,
CA.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, carry on. My fault. I'm sorry. Yeah, carry on. He's right. Carry on.
No,
No, it's
CARION. Yeah, right there.
Sorry, say that again.
Carry on's right there.
yeah, it's right there. Yeah.
Okay. A reverse horror game. Oh, you know what? I heard about like the reverse horror game. I don't think I've actually played any of these, but this looks cool. We'll have to keep somewhere like some links for stuff that we talk about in class so that we can revisit them. But I'll just leave this tab open for the moment. So this next article is about interaction design, but it's a good article to read in terms of thinking about game design and some of the basics, because they're applying game design concepts to basically creating an interaction, like creating a website or creating an app experience. And it sort of talks about gamification and stuff like that. And so it's kind of an interesting reading as far as thinking about how game concepts can apply to other types of experiences. So that's another one that I was reading for there. This article, there's a link here, but the images don't show up for some reason. So I made a PDF of the article. You can see this sort of diagram that I have like a simplified version of about the cycle of video game to player. So the player's input, the video game's feedback, and then our interpretation of that feedback. So there's a little more information in here. And then it goes into a little bit more sort of like game design topics with these sort of like gameplay bricks that it's talking about. This is like an interesting thing to start thinking about. It's a little bit, beyond where we are right now, but it's definitely interesting as far as like thinking about game design ideas. All right. And then there's one more. This is another Game of Sutra article about designing games for accessibility. And I actually think this is a really good thing to start thinking about as a game designer, even if you aren't specifically thinking about accessibility or usability issues for players with different types of physical interactions with games. Thinking about those issues will help you think about interaction in general. So thinking about how somebody plays a game and how their physical ability correlates to what they can do in the game. Yeah, Hakem.
Yeah, I know there's one game that did the best. I really don't like it, but it was The Last of Us 2. They did accessible for like helping for disabled and stuff.
Yeah.
Can't play
yeah,
it.
that's a good example.
And they're like their best yeah. They won an award for that, so
Yeah. Yeah, Last of Us 2 is a good example. I haven't played that game, but I've watched a lot of it on YouTube, and I read some of the articles that you're probably thinking about. But yeah, I think in general, like one of the things I really like about this article is it kind of comes up with these sort of like scenarios. So one of the scenarios that they're talking about adaptive difficulty level. Okay, so this is something that would affect.
Oh, I hated that.
You know,
The you are dead. Would
sorry.
you like to switch screen?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, yeah. That's kind of the example they're giving, and for all sorts of players with all different relationships to the game, some people are just not going to be able to play a game that's really, really hard. They're not going to enjoy it, or they're not going to be able to like literally get past like the first scene or whatever. And so thinking about those problems while you're designing the game will, force you to come up with solutions that you might not have otherwise thought about, and will actually help you think about how your puzzles work, how your challenges work, all of these different things that are happening. So they have a few different scenarios in terms of what the problem was and how they were able to address it. So this is kind of a long article, but it has a lot of good information in there. Yeah, Hakem.
yeah, I'm sorry to put my hands up, but I can tell you another game that you're talking about that's so hard that players can't really play. Sekiro. That game was very annoying for me. Like I couldn't even beat the first boss. It was so annoying. Like Sekiro.
Sekiro.
It's by FromSoft.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah, Sekiro. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. It's just.
Oh, I watched this game.
Yep. That's the game right there.
Yeah. I would not be good at this game. Like I'm not even gonna try this game, but I have watched a bit of it. Yeah, that's a good example.
That game is nuts, man.
Yeah. All right. So, John.
Yeah, you said it right the first time. No,
Okay.
but another game that was very difficult in my opinion. I think it was also made by the same people. Bloodborne. That game was so difficult.
Really?
I stopped playing it.
Nah, Bloodborne is easy, man. Sekiro is hard. Bloodborne is nothing.
Compared to other games, nah, Bloodborne is hard, bro. Because I'm not used to playing Souls games, man.
Made by FromSoft is usually just brutal.
Yeah. Well, so we even within a class about video games, we can see that there are different levels of ability and interest in these types of difficult games. And that's definitely something you consider as you design your game. You might make a game specifically to be really hard because some people are going to enjoy that, but you are going to limit your audience to a certain extent.
Yeah, this is why I don't play From Software games. They're just too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, got it.
No, but
Cool.
but they make some really good PvPs though. The PvP is really good in their games, man. The Dark Souls PvP in Bloodborne, fantastic.
What's your
Right.
favorite
So,
from software game?
I say it's
Jared?
Bloodborne, really. I said
all right.
Bloodborne.
So, so
Better
we
than
can
Sekiro?
continue talking about. All right. Let me just mute you guys real quick so we can keep going. Okay. So this is a great discussion. We can keep talking about this idea of like kind of like difficulty in games and how that changes like who uses the game and you know, where the game might be played, like if it's in a competition or more casual gamers or other things like that. But for now, we're going to transition into talking about the homework for this week. And so I'm going to stop this recording for a moment.